Some people like to deep clean every Saturday morning. I prefer to spend a few minutes every day keeping things fresh with Lysol. Lysol's brand new day disinfecting wipes conveniently tackle surfaces, including remotes, tablets, and smartphones, killing 99.9% of viruses and bacteria with a fragrance that feels like a tropical getaway for your senses. Don't just clean, Lysol clean.
Rack your look for spring at Nordstrom Rack and save up to 60% on brands you love. Rag & Bone, Vince, Marc Jacobs, Adidas, Joe's, and more. Great brands, great prices every day at Nordstrom Rack. Score new dresses, denim, sandals, designer bags, and sunglasses, plus updates for the family and home. Get your spring on for less, up to 60% less, today at your Nordstrom Rack store. What will you find?
Yo, check this out. This is Chuck D. And keep it locked. You are tuned into the library. The lies are buried with Tim Einico right here, right now, rapstation.com.
Here it comes.
Since the far-off days when man first heard a scratchy noise on a cylindrical drum, accompanied by staccato human tones, it has been his aim to add breadth and depth, to give realism and spaciousness, and even where it applies, to convey actual movement.
Intro, I start to go, my rhymes will flow, so get up and dance, cause Kane said so. If you were lounging around, it's time to get up. Pardon my expression, but I'ma tear shit up. I'll appear right here and scare and dare, a mere musketeer that would dare to compare.
He's a Grammy Award-winning rapper and member of the Juice Crew, a hip-hop god, and one of the most influential rap artists ever. He's Big Daddy Kane, and he joins me on The Library with Tim Einico on rapstation.com. Big Daddy Kane, thank you so much for joining me.
Glad to be here, man. Glad to be here.
So let's start from the beginning, the way beginning. You grew up listening to music your parents loved. Your parents listened to artists such as Teddy Pendergrass, the Isley Brothers, Marvin Gaye, Al Green, and Johnny Taylor. So I was always curious, what drew you to hip-hop music and culture? And did you ever actually try or attempt to become a soul singer?
Not really. I mean, like, when my pops would go to work, I would, sometimes put his clothes on and get in the mirror and pretend to be singing Marvin Gaye songs, but I don't really have the pipes to be a singer, man.
And then what kind of initially drew you to, I guess, the hip hop culture and rap music?
Well, I mean, it was the new thing in the streets, and everybody was pretty much taken to it like water, man. So it was something that I thought was new, innovative, and I enjoyed it. Mm. So I mean, I just took to it.
Cool. You said I know you said in past interviews that what you feel what caused artists today have become lazy with their lyrics because they don't really have the love for the music, and they're basically kind of making music to sell albums. So you obviously started your career at a time when no one really knew if you could make money off of rap music, right? So did you have a backup plan at all? And how has your passion for doing the music changed from when you first started?
Well, my backup plan was to go to college for engineering. I was going to, go to Adelphi College to take up engineering. But, it was like, honestly, at that time, I saw artists like Grandmaster Flash in the Furious Five, flossing a lot of jewelry and stuff. I thought there was money in it, but that just wasn't my focus. My focus was just really to be, a dope MC.
You famously wrote lyrics for artists such as Biz Markie and Roxanne Shante. When you write for a different artist, how important is it for you to know the artists personally? I mean, do you feel that you're using them as a vehicle to express what they would express, or are you using them as a vehicle to kind of express what Big Daddy Kane would express?
I think it's very important to know the artist. Like when you take Biz, for example, the stuff I wrote for Biz was in Biz style. Biz would come to me and say, yo, I need something like a zicka, 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 zicka. And, he would like show me the pattern of the flow, and I could put it in his style. Now, with Shantae, I really wanted to write in her style. I wanted to really put it in that Roxanne's Revenge type of style. just making it super lyrical. But the label wanted me to put it in my style, which I knew wasn't going to really be comfortable for her because now she would have to go a lot faster than she's accustomed to going. And I mean, you know, even though Have a Nice Day and Gone Girl did good for her, I just think that they could have been even better had they just been in her style where she was in a comfort zone doing what she do, you know, as opposed to trying to sound like me.
Right. Was it harder for you to write for a female artist versus a male artist?
No, not at all. It wasn't hard. I mean, because I mean, Shantae is, you know, she's family. I've you know known her since you know I got down with them, and you know, I mean, Shantae is one of those artists that don't really have no boundaries. You know, it's not like I would have to say, okay, well that's a little too vulgar for her, or well, that's a little too masculine for her. Shantae is known for having a raunchy mouth, so it's like I didn't really have to limit myself, you know, when writing for her.
Right. And that goes to what you were saying about how important it was for you to know, obviously, the person you're writing for, because you know the limits, or you know that you could be unlimited. In 1987, you debuted your single "Raw," and you seem to have created, you. For all the talk and all the interviews, you obviously created this track with a purpose. So for you, how many drafts did you write before you knew that the mission of this track was completed? And then, is this your favorite track in your career?
My favorite track in my career would probably be "Set It Off."
Oh, nice.
But with Raw, what really happened? It was like, I had the song out with Biz, just rhyming with Biz, and everybody thought it was Biz's song, so no one was hiring me to play shows. So I was pretty much broke with a hot single out because I wasn't getting any shows, you know. So I kept begging the label, let me just put something out by myself. When Tyron Williams finally agreed, I wrote Raw, but I originally wrote it to a Marley Marl drum track. Like there was a drum track that Marley Marl had made, and I originally wrote it to that. But the day I was going to record it, like I was coming to the studio with the Mama Feel Good horns for Marley to sample that, so he could sample that to use for the chorus. But I was going to go over his drum track. But the day I was headed to the studio, I stopped by Downstairs Records, and a guy that worked there at JC, he said, yo, I got these new James Brown imports in. It's like him singing over just the drums, no other music. You need to hear him. Mm. And when he played Bobby Bird, I'm Coming, I was like, I'll take that right there. That's what I need. So we got to the studio. I told Marley, forget that. Loop this up. And I left and went to the store. When I came back, he had looped up the wrong part. I need the one with the offbeat snare. Like 2 bars in, the snare goes offbeat. Just loop it up from there. Mm. And then he had to, because that's when we were using 2-inch, so he had to resample that part and retrack it through the for the 2-inch all over again. And then that's how we did it.
So is that? I mean, is that a typical? Obviously that exact story wouldn't be typical, but for you, is that the best way for you to write or to create an album or a track? Is to write the lyrics first and then kind of get the beat after it, or is it just it's every track is a different?
No, it differs. Like I did a song called "Get Into It," and I wrote to the beat because the rhyme pattern was following the drum pattern. So it was like, that's something where, you had to write to the beat, to really make that work. So, writing to the beat is good. It's just with Raw, it was the type of thing where I just heard an amazing beat and thought that this would be much better than what we were about to use. And I just made the rhymes fit that beat.
I want to go to another track you wrote, Young, Gifted, and Black, off your second album, It's a Big Daddy Thing. It seems to be partly an argument you're having with people who don't think rap is art or music. So I wanted to ask you to kind of take us back to the time you wrote this track. What arguments were you hearing against rap music as an art form? And do you think those arguments have changed? Do you think people have come around to realize that rap is an art form and it's music?
Yeah, I think that I think that some people have come around to realizing that. However, I think it may be the wrong people.
Oh, what do you mean?
I think that, that a lot of people have come around to respect hip hop as an art form, respect it as a genre of music. But I don't think that it's the musicians that are doing that. I think that it's the labels and the media. And what they're doing with it is they're using it in a commercial way that kind of destroys the culture.
Right. So they're saying that they could obviously, they're accepting it as an art form because they're kind of...
Because they can make money off it.
Yeah, because they can make money off it.
Because they can make money.
Right. And if they couldn't make money off it, then they wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like, media, radio, and record companies have found a way of making money off of this by commercializing it and making it equivalent to pop music. Right. That way it becomes a multi-million-dollar, thing, and you can make a whole lot of money off of it. But in the process of doing that, you have so many artists that become fly-by-night artists. They're here today, gone tomorrow, and they never left nothing. Like they never left no substantial song, nothing from their short-lived career to really be remembered by.
There's people that argue that in order for the culture, the music to have survived this long, it needed to be commercialized. Where do you stand on that argument?
I mean, I think that that's a bunch of BS because, it's like when rock and roll started to become commercialized, you still had the Rolling Stones and Aerosmith and so others going strong, still doing what they do, still being respected for what they do. So I mean, I'm not saying that hip hop shouldn't have a commercial side. I'm not saying it shouldn't have commercial music because I mean, throughout its throughout its years of existence, man, we've had a lot of commercial hits on Hammer Can't Touch This, Ice Ice Baby, Wild Thing from Tone Loc, Parents Don't Understand from Will Smith. I mean, there's always been commercial songs that have coexisted in what we do as a culture. And there's a place for it. I don't sit and deny those songs as not being hip-hop songs because of the simple fact that rap music actually has no music. It's always something that we've done for other people's music, and we have rhymed over pop music.
Right.
So there's a place for those songs, I mean, so it all can work together. It's just that when you start saying that this hip-hop form of hip-hop is the true hip-hop, this is what we want, this is all we want to play, this is all we want to put out, that the other stuff is some other underground stuff for just a few people that's stuck in the past. When you start doing that, then you're destroying a whole culture. And not only that, I think you're destroying a lot of artists' careers, because you're looking for that fast dollar from an artist to sell a hot single. And after that single isn't hot no more, you move it on to the next artist, and that artist becomes forgotten. He never gets a chance to grow or prosper.
Do you think? I mean, what you're talking about now? Do you think that the changes you talked about right now? Do you think that kind of coincided with? It seemed like that coincided with the release of your 7th album, Veterans Day. That you talked about you kind of walked away from because the industry was changing. Is this the change that? The change you just mentioned, is this the change that you were seeing in 1998?
I mean, when I walked away, it wasn't because of the changes in the industry. It was because of, the person I was dealing with on that Veterans Day album. I just didn't want to go to jail. So I just said, F this, I'll chill. I'm good. That was just something personal with me and the person I did that album with, the person that was running that company. You know, I just saw that going a whole different direction. But I mean, from the late '90s, I saw a lot of things in hip hop changing. You know, but I don't think nothing ever stays the same, and I don't think anything should.
Right.
You know, I don't think that that's what music is meant for. You know, I mean, if you're sitting there saying that the last dope MC that you heard was Jay-Z and Nas, then you saying that hip hop hasn't really elevated since the mid '90s. That's what you're saying, I mean, so it's like music is supposed to change, I mean, I thought that it was great for hip hop when people started giving myself, KRS, Rakim props as being the greatest, because that showed the elevation from the Melly Mel, Grandmaster Caz, Kool Moe Dee era. When people started saying Nas, Biggie, and Jay-Z are the greatest, that showed the elevation from our era, from my era. You know what I'm saying? So it's like music is supposed to change, supposed to take it to the next level. When it got to the point where people were, not really sampling anymore, things like drum programming using live instrumentation, I thought that was dope. But for one, it puts more money in the artist's pocket because you don't have to pay all that sampling costs.
Right.
But and it's also elevating music. It's taking it to a higher level. So, I mean, change is good. It's supposed to happen, I just think that it's a lot better when it happens the right way for the right reasons. Right way, meaning that music gets to grow and expand. Right reasons so that artists can be successful and have a future.
When I interviewed Kool Moe Dee, he talked about his beef with LL Cool J and how it was falsely reported by media as the old rapper jealous of the new rapper. And he kind of said that the real beef was what LL was representing at the time versus what like him and Public Enemy and KRS were kind of doing in terms of being more socially empowering in their rap music. For you, without getting into any side of that beef, how are you able to? I mean, something that I think was really admirable about your career and currently and still is that you were able to balance being a rap activist and the quote unquote ladies man of rap, right? So how are you able to balance both those sides, and then kind of what advice could you give to an MC that is struggling with that balance?
Well, I mean, it's like, honestly, it's about being you and doing what you believe in, speaking on whatever it is that you believe in. I mean, the same person that made What's Going On made Let's Get It On.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, if you believe in unity, you believe in, brothers, having something positive to say or, some uplifting message, then speak on it. You believe in, love and sex, speak on it. I mean, it doesn't make you a hypocrite to speak on both, because you talk about what exists in the world. You know what I'm saying? People struggle in the world. It's hard for people to find jobs in the world. But at the same time, people have sex. So it's all part of life. Right.
In your career, you've you hung out with a lot of people that influenced you growing up. You mentioned Quincy Jones, Barry White, to name a couple. Which of these people, when you first met them, were you the most starstruck from, and what was it like?
Barry White.
Oh wow, what was it like when you first met him?
I was just standing there, catching them, from my peripheral view, just catch him from the side, so he wouldn't see me staring, but just fascinated, yo, I am at a cookout at Quincy Jones' house with Barry White. I'm in the same backyard as Barry White. I cannot believe this, man. Yeah, and like, then like, finally, someone brought us over, introduced us, we talked and everything, and he was just cool. Then like when we was leaving the cookout, when I got into my car and turned, the ignition on, I was listening to his like a Barry White cassette. Yeah, that's how far back it was. I was listening to a Barry White cassette, and he heard it, and he just pointed at me, ha ha, sure you're right, Kane.
Wow.
And then I was like, yeah, man, I've always been a big fan. He was like, well, we need to do something. And maybe 2 weeks later, I got the call from Alonzo Brown, who was working at A&M at the time.
When you did a track with Barry White, I mean, how much, I guess, doing a track with one of someone who influences you, how much pressure do you put on yourself to kind of deliver?
It wasn't no pressure at all. I knew the perfect person to do it. This guy, Andre Booth, who, had already played on the To Be Your Man joint that I did with Blue Magic, and The Day of Mine from the Long with the Kane album. With those songs, he was the type of dude where you had to tell, okay, too much. That's a little too much for hip hop, because he would be trying to make it a full blown 48-track R&B production. So, working with Barry White, here's my chance to say, Andre, do what the hell you want to do.
Oh wow, nice.
And he made it a full blown R&B production, and it sounded great. And I had this concept what would be dope is like play off of words, like saying all of me wants all of you. And when I told Barry the idea, he looked at his man JP, and as JP just dropped his head and started smiling and shaking his head like, wow. Because we and Barry, we was already talking about how much we had in common and didn't know our birthdays was 2 days apart.
Oh, wow.
We both eating Caesar salad for lunch, that type of thing. It was
right.
We was talking about how much we had in common. So when I said this to him, he showed me that a song that he didn't put on the album he had, called All of Me Wants All of You. And that actually was the hook that, we used. We used his old hook for the song.
We've obviously talked about you growing up and having this kind of passion and influence for being influenced by soul music. So I've always wondered, what's the most influential soul music record or track for you?
Two of the main tracks that I'll probably listen to the most are Lonely Room by New Birth and Nothing Sweeter Than Love by 100 Proof, Age Soul.
What about them that kind of stands out for you?
They're just like those type of, to me, it's like those are songs that really define soul, where the beat is hard. It's like hard beats that you would want to rap to, and the brothers just singing on these songs, like that passion in their voice, the song may have had another writer, but the way they singing it, it sounded like they wrote that song that morning.
Oh wow!
The passion that you hear in their voice in these songs, and then the arrangement, the way that the music is arranged, like the changes, and how it transcends and everything. It's just crazy, man. Especially Lonely Room.
I have a few more questions about kind of your career and talk about what's the future for Big Daddy Kane. But I have two questions that from stories I've heard from Gary G. Wiz of the Bomb Squad. He told me that he heard that rhyming with Biz was recorded through headphones. So the question is that true? And if so, why did it happen?
No, we didn't record through no headphones. It was a freestyle, so therefore there was no compression or no EQs or nothing, added, to the vocals. And the mic wasn't sitting still with a pop screen. We was holding the mic in our hand because it was me, Biz, and these two girls, Frick and Frack, passing the mic around, rhyming. It's just that the deal never went through with Frickin' Frack with Cold Chillin', so they took them off of the track. That's why it ends so abruptly. Do I come off? Yeah. Because afterwards I was passing the mic to Frick, and before it could get to that, they just cut it.
Gary G. Wiz of the Bomb Squad also remembers, a young Gary G. Wiz at the time, remembers you recording Enough Respect for the Juice soundtrack. And he remembers you did it in one take and you just broke out. Can you tell us about this recording session? And did you know going in that you would just nail the track on one take?
Well, I was hoping so, because what it was Hank Shockley had done drove me up a goddamn wall about this song and about getting it done that night. And I was like, I was coming from L.A. You understand me? So, I mean, I just, caught like a 8 a.m. flight that morning, which means I probably got up around 5:30, And, I caught an 8 a.m. flight and got in that evening. And I already knew that Hank wanted. I told Hank I'll call him when I get home and, we'll work it out. But honestly, I was actually just going to go home and take my ass to sleep and just hit on Hank tomorrow.
Right.
But when I pull up at my crib, Hank is sitting in my yard.
Jesus.
So I saw there was no way around this. He was determined to get this song done. So, I mean, I'm tired, dead tired, just want to sleep so bad. But I'm like, forget it. Let's just get this over and done with. Because it was like I wanted to work with Hank. I've always been a fan of the Bomb Squad, so I wanted to work with Hank Shockley so bad. But not under these circumstances. I wanted to be where I'm refreshed and I got it together and I could really get the right mindset. But that night I really couldn't. Because I think Enough Respect could have probably been, done even better had I just got there, heard the beat, and was like, okay, let me go here.
Wow.
But I mean, it was like, it was one of the situations where I had to get to a bed. So I just did what I had to do and bounced.
Is this the only track in your career that you've kind of banged out on one take, or obviously you've probably gotten better sleep since then? So you Just Rhyming with Biz was one take, because I mean we actually tried to do the vocals over because of that Frickin' Frack thing, so that it could end better. Mm-hmm. We tried to do the vocals over, but it didn't sound as good, so we just kept what we did. But there were other songs. There were a lot of other songs I did in one take. Is that something that you've kind of strived for in your career, or is this just kind of has come naturally to you to be able to do things in one take?
I don't think that doing something in one take is important. I think what's more important is getting it right.
Okay.
If it takes you 100 takes to get that perfect one, then do 100 takes. I would rather be sitting there saying, yeah, it took me 100 takes, but we got those vocals right. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Rather than sitting there listening to some idiot brag about, yeah, man, and I did that in one take, and it sounds trash. And I'm like, okay, so that's why it sounds like that.
Yeah. Years ago, you did a track. It's with Joel Ortiz, the Brooklyn Remix track. Ortiz obviously is a straight lyricist who really seems to bring heart to all his rhymes. Is there anyone you would compare him to from the true school MCs?
I mean, Ortiz to me, I would probably say that he's from the Cool G Rap family tree. I would say that it, from G Rap to Big Pun to Joel Ortiz, I would say that that's their family tree right there. I think he learned from Pun and Pun learned from G Rap. And in my opinion.
Do you think there's have you guys ever talked about doing something more together?
Yeah. We've actually been discussing doing something, and hopefully we'll get to do it in the very, very near future.
Cool. The 25th anniversary of It's a Big Daddy Thing and the 20th anniversary of Daddy's Home they're both coming up. They're actually right around the corner. What are your thoughts looking back at these two albums? Anything you would want to have done differently?
Nah, I mean it's a Big Daddy thing. It's my favorite album of my collection. So yeah, I take I call 'em serious pride in that project. That's my favorite one. Daddy's Home, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would have probably, I would keep all the rhymes that I said on that album. I would have just flowed different. We was having this conversation. Me and somebody was having this conversation a few nights ago about Daddy's Home because with Taste of Chocolate and Prince of Darkness, these are albums that I did really just rushing, trying to hurry up and get out of this Warner Brothers deal because I was unhappy with the label. But after Prince of Darkness, it was like, a lot of people saying like, yo, people saying you fell off, yo, people saying your stuff is whack now, man. So when I did Looks Like a Job 4, I went in the studio trying to really make a good album. And I got all the right producers, Large Professor, Trackmasters, Easy Mo B, but it still didn't take off, And I mean, I couldn't understand. I'm like, lyrically, I'm like, I'm killing this lyrically. And, these brothers blessed me with some amazing production, And it wasn't really till Daddy's Home when I was really listening to my stuff, comparing it to like Wu-Tang and Redman and certain other artists, I'm realizing, you know what? My tone is so 80s. I'm ahead of the beat, the way we while these dudes is more like, it's like the flow is a lot slower. I'm like, I think this is what I'm doing wrong. I'm flowing wrong. Like I sound like one of the old dudes. And that's when I started, hanging with a lot of, cats, the ciphers with my boys over on Prospect in Brownsville, getting in ciphers with them. Cats I knew out of Brevoort's projects for the nation, getting a cipher with the younger generation, spitting with them, and I adjusted my flow differently. And I think it shows on Veterans Day. You listen to Veterans Day, my flow is a whole lot more tighter and more synced with what was going on in that era. So that was like with Looks Like a Job 4 and Daddy's Home, those mistakes I made, my flow wasn't right. So if I could change anything on Daddy's Home, it would be my flow.
When you do something where you have to change your flow, does that cause you to write differently? I guess what I'm asking is, when you're changing your flow, are different lyrics bound to come out from if you have?
It causes me to write differently because now, for me to slow my flow down, I'm gonna have to use less words.
Right.
Because I'm used to putting a whole bunch of words in one line.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We're like we're like a line where it's like, I'll give a speech like a reverend, rap star separate. I would have to, speech like reverend, rapper separate. You know what I'm saying? I would have to take words out to slow it down. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it was not a problem. It wasn't nothing uncomfortable. It was just that I just couldn't figure out what the hell I'm doing wrong because I'm sitting there looking at the lyrics, saying it. I'm like, man, this shit is fire, man. What are they talking about?
Right, exactly.
But, you know what I'm saying? But then, when I finally took a chance to, listen to it compared to somebody else, I'm like, man, what I said sound a whole lot better than what he just said. But you know what? He said it so slick. So we're like you in the groove,
So is that? That seems interesting because has that always been the case where, I guess, flow outperforms lyrics in hip hop?
It can be in a lot of cases for the simple fact that it's nothing. It's like nothing like a song that you can sing along to.
Right.
You take songs like Lottie Dottie or Top Billin', big hits that's not super lyrical, you can just sing it word for word.
Right.
Like Rick or Milk D, they don't have to say nothing. You just point the mic to the crowd can sing the whole song word for word from top to bottom.
Right. In 2013, when you helped form the group Last Supper, how did you know it was time for you to kind of start creating new music after being so disappointed by the music industry?
Well, I mean, that ain't my album. I wanted to do something, and I've always wanted to create a soul project, and that's the band's album. It's not my album, so it's not like as if like Kane came out of retirement and made another album. That's not my album. That's the band's album. I'm just on it. And I mean, that's something I've been doing. I mean, I did the joint with Game. I did a song called "This Is How We Do" with Snoop. The UG joint next up. I'm the Joel Ortiz joint you just mentioned. I mean, I've been featured on other artists, songs. I don't have a problem with doing that. You call me about, doing a verse. I'm there. Let's do it. But sitting down trying to create some 10, 12, 15 Kane tracks, I anytime soon.
What's the future for Big Daddy Kane?
Hopefully Big Daddy Kane will be sitting behind a desk doing something productive in the music industry or film industry where, I don't have to be, running around, jumping up and down on stages and stuff as much, But that's the future. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love performing. That's pretty much the only thing in hip hop that I still have a serious, strong passion for. I love performing, And I mean, I love, getting together with young artists that's flames, and doing, music with them, matter of fact, I just did something on Saigon's new album.
Oh, wow.
I love doing stuff like that,
Hip hop god, legend, Big Daddy Kane, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me in the library with Tim Einenkel on rapstation.com.
You got it, my brother, and the pleasure is all mine, and much respect to you guys. Keep up the good work.
And when that individual comes, I make no apologies for what I'm about to say.
Rough, rugged, and real, you're on standstill to obey your case, so let the man build. Words of rapture that you have to capture, and I just slapped ya with a handful of literature. This dope, deaf, fresh, hype, choice, smooth, and raw. Rappers I replace, rub out, and erase. Competition, you must be on freebase, smoking or joking, bound to be broken. Now get your damn hands off the mic that I'm choking. Cause I got a stranglehold. You're still cold on parole for the role you stole. Rhymes that you yell out, but you did sell out. Crossed over, lost over here, now get the hell out. I'm not a pop star, rock and roller. I'm a rebel, blessed, able to hold a mic like a hammer and drop grammar, treat a rapper like a wrestler and body slam them. Those who dispute get treated just like a prostitute. They get the boot and blade like a flute, so just play mute.
Rack your look for spring at Nordstrom Rack and save up to 60% on brands you love. Rag & Bone, Vince, Marc Jacobs, Adidas, Joe's, and more. Great brands, great prices every day at Nordstrom Rack. Score new dresses, denim, sandals, designer bags, and sunglasses, plus updates for the family and home. Get your spring on for less, up to 60% less, today at your Nordstrom Rack store. What will you find?
After the end of a good fight, you deserve an ice-cold reward. Modelo, you put in the hours, the energy, the tough labor, because you know the bigger the fight, the better the reward. Modelo, the mark of the fighter. Drink responsibly. Beer imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois.